My name is Kofi, and I am the only one in my village who entered the forest that everyone fears and returned alive. In our village in the southern part of Ghana, beyond the cocoa farms and the red, dusty road, there's a forest that has never known peace. The elders call it the Forbidden Forest. They say it existed before our grandfathers were born. They say it as swallow hunters, travelers, and even brave warriors. As children, we were warned never to go near it. The forest was not just a place of trees and animals. It was something else, something that watched. When I was younger, I used to think the stories were exaggerated. Old people always add too much salt to their soup. Around the fire at night, they would speak of moving shadows and voices that sound like your own thoughts. They said the forest does not chase you. It invites you. It studies you. It becomes you. I laughed at those words. I was known in the village as stubborn. I liked proving people wrong. If someone said a river was too deep, I would swim across it. If someone said a path was dangerous, I would walk it alone. So when the elders warned us again during a meeting not to go near the forest because it is awake, I felt challenged. Awake? How can trees be awake? The forest stood dark and thick at the edge of our farmland. Even at noon, sunlight could not fully enter. The trees were tall and tightly packed, their branches twisted like old fingers. Birds avoided it. Even goats refused to wander close. There was always a strange silence around it, a silence that felt heavy in the ears. One afternoon, I made my decision. I packed a small bag with water, some roasted plantain, a flashlight, and my father's old machete. My father had died years before, but his machete was sharp and strong. I told my mother I was going to visit a friend in the next village. She did not suspect anything. As I walked toward the forest, my heart beat fast, not from fear, but from excitement. I was going to prove everyone wrong. I would enter, walk through it, and return before sunset. When I reached the first line of trees, the air changed immediately. It became cooler, but not in a refreshing way. It felt damp and heavy. The sounds of insects from the farm disappeared behind me, as if someone had closed the door. I hesitated for only a second before stepping inside. The ground was soft with fallen leaves. The smell of wet earth filled my nose. For the first few minutes, everything seemed normal. I cut through small bushes with my machete and walked carefully. I told myself the elders were simply afraid of what they did not understand. Then I noticed something strange. There were no animal sounds. No birds, no monkeys, not even the buzzing of insects. The deeper I went, the darker it became. The trees were so tall that their tops formed a thick roof above me. My flashlight flickered once, though it was still daytime. I heard a soft crack behind me. I turned quickly. Nothing, just trees. I continued walking, but now I felt watched. It was not a simple feeling. It was specific, like eyes were fixed on my back. I tried to ignore it. Then I heard my name.
Kofi.
It was faint, almost like a whisper carried by wind. I stopped breathing for a moment. Maybe I imagined it. I walked faster.
Kofi.
This time it was clearer. The voice sounded familiar. It sounded like my father. My father had been dead for 5 years. My skin grew cold. I turned slowly in a circle, scanning the trees. Nothing moved. The forest remained still, but the silence now felt alive. I told myself it was memory playing tricks on me. When you are alone, your mind can create sounds. But then I saw a movement between 2 trees. A tall shape. Too tall. It stood still, half hidden by shadows. I could not see its face clearly, but I felt its presence strongly. My chest tightened. "Who is there?" I shouted, trying to sound brave. No answer. The shape stepped back and disappeared behind the trees. I considered turning back, but pride pushed me forward. I had already come far. If I returned now, I would never forgive myself. I walked deeper. After some time, I realized I could no longer tell which direction I had come from. The trees all looked the same. I tried marking the bark with my machete, but when I looked back, I could not find the marks. It was as if the forest was rearranging itself. Panic began to rise in my throat. I heard footsteps again, this time clearly behind me. Slow, measured, matching my pace. When I stopped, they stopped. When I moved, they followed.
Kofi,
The voice said again, closer now. I turned sharply. This time, I saw it clearly. A figure standing a few meters away. It had the shape of a human, but its limbs were too long. Its fingers almost touched the ground. Its head tilted unnaturally to one side. Then it stepped into a small patch of light. It had my face. Not similar. Not close. Exactly my face. It smiled, but I was not smiling. My knees weakened. "You wanted to see," it said, using my own voice. "Now you see." I stumbled backward and fell. My heart pounded so loudly I could hear it in my ears. The creature took one slow step forward. "You think you are brave," it continued. "You think you are different." I scrambled to my feet and ran. Branches whipped my face. Thorns tore at my clothes. I did not care about direction. I just ran. As I ran, the forest seemed endless. Every path led to more trees. The ground felt uneven and unstable, like it was shifting under my feet. The voices multiplied. They spoke from every direction.
you do not belong outside. Stay. Become part of us.
I covered my ears, but the voices were inside my head. Suddenly, I saw something ahead. Light. I ran toward it with all my strength. But when I reached it, it was not an exit. It was a clearing. In the center of the clearing stood dozens of figures, all with my face. Each one stared at me without blinking. I felt something break inside me. The figures began stepping closer, slowly, silently. Their movements were unnatural, like puppets pulled by invisible strings. I dropped to my knees. For the first time since entering, I admitted I was wrong. I was not brave. I was foolish. I closed my eyes and whispered a prayer my mother taught me as a child. I called on God to forgive my pride and lead me home. The ground beneath me trembled. The voices grew angry and loud, like a storm of whispers. Then, suddenly, everything went silent. When I opened my eyes, I was lying on the edge of the forest. The cocoa farms were in front of me. The sky was bright. I struggled to stand. My body ached as if I had been running for days. My clothes were torn. My arms were scratched and bleeding. I walked slowly back to the village. When I arrived, people gathered around me in shock. My mother ran to me, crying. She said I had been missing for 3 days. 3 days. To me, it felt like a single afternoon. I told no one exactly what I saw. The words felt too heavy to carry into the open air. But the elders looked at me and nodded quietly, as if they already knew. Since that day, I have never mocked their stories again. Sometimes, at night, when the wind blows in the direction of the forest, I hear a faint whisper calling my name. It sounds like me. I avoid looking toward the trees, because I know something is still there, something that wears my face. And sometimes when I pass near the edge of the farmland, I see a shadow standing just inside the trees. Watching, waiting. I was foolish enough to enter once. I will never enter again. The forbidden forest does not need to chase its victims. It simply waits for pride to lead them back.